Hi friends, and thanks for being here. I'm Anna Helman, and today we're going to do some coloring techniques. And I'm really curious, do you love to color on your card making projects, or is it something that you're really not a fan of? I feel like a lot of times we fall into one group or the other. And honestly, I fall into the category that coloring is not my favorite thing. But when I started using alcohol markers, I just absolutely love the way it looks when I finish. And because of that, I love to color more. So what we're going to do in today's video is I have several different techniques I'm going to share. Some of these are some you may not have really thought about of ways to use those alcohol markers. If you haven't used alcohol markers before, this will be a great introduction you can watch along with, so I hope you'll stick around. And then at the end, we will stay and talk about life like we always do, so I hope you'll stick around for that as well. Let's get started. The card projects I'm making today have some adorable, cute little animals on them. I thought they would be perfect for coloring with these markers. And this is the set I am using. So today's kind of an exciting day. We have a whole bunch of brand new products available starting today. This is one of the bundles. But let's look at these alcohol markers and what you can do with them. Now on this little mouse, I am not doing anything special, and I just want you to know, I know I've heard from some people who are a little bit overwhelmed by the blending and the blending of the alcohol markers. And I just want you to know you don't have to blend. You can just color with them. And when you just color with them, you can get some really nice results as well. My favorite thing about them is how bold the colors are. If we look, especially at that heart, look how bright and how pretty that is. We can't get that look with other coloring tools. So that's one of my favorite things. So keep in mind, if you're a little bit timid with your alcohol markers, or if you weren't sure if you wanted to try some out, you can keep things really simple and just color, and you don't have to blend. Okay, so I did create the background here with alcohol markers, but we will come back to that here in a little bit. So the second thing I want to share is just some basic blending. So this is pretty easy. I'm going to bring in 3 markers here. If you want to know the products I'm using in all of these colors, I am going to have those listed in the video description below, and I will tell you some of them as well. So this one is one of my skin tones, the 500 marker skin tone, light pecan pie, and dark copper clay. So the way I like to blend is this. I like to color, I like to do it in sections. So as you see, I already did the bottom part of, let's have a healthy debate. What do you think this animal is? Tell me in the comments. I want to know what you think this is. I think I just called it what I think it is, but I feel that there could be some open discussion about what this animal is. Okay, so this was my 500 marker. I like to go over the whole area in my lightest color. Then sometimes I go straight to my darkest color. Let's do this just to keep it a little bit simpler. And I put my darkest color wherever I think some shadows would be, like down there at the bottom, probably in here in his ears, wherever the light isn't going to be hitting very much. Let's go with that, okay? And then I come in with my medium color and add some of this. So let's add a little bit of that medium down here around the bottom, around the sides. He's got these little smile lines right here on his cheeks. Let's add some there. And then I always start and I always finish with my lightest color. So what I do, come back in and I basically go over the entire area. You want to keep the ink wet while you're doing this. If it dries up, it is not going to blend the way you want it to. So I come back in, I go over all of that with my lighter one, and then I'm not sure if I want blending up here or not. I guess I'll go over this. Go over the outside of the ears. If you have areas that dry out, you may end up with lines. If you end up with funny lines where it looks like a spot dried up, that is because it dried up. So if you keep everything wet, you should be able to avoid that. Now I'm going to put color his little nose. I didn't want to color the nose first because if I got into it with these other markers, then the color would have bled. So here is what I've prepared for this one. And I was having so much fun with these, both the stamps and the dies. Here in this die set, you can see there's the pieces for the flowers. And then this little heart die is one that I love. And this die right here, I used here behind the mouse. It would be great for the greetings, but I thought it would be nice also for that little decoration behind my mouse. So, okay, we have our little creature stamped. Let's attach him and pop him up over these flowers. And if you're wondering about that background, we will talk about that in a moment. So this greeting on this card did come from the Hearts and Hugs stamp set. It's got some really cute greetings related to hugs and birthday, and I think there's a thank you one. And then the greetings on the other cards I actually created with this stamp set. I thought these greetings went really well with these cute little animals. Can't wait to demonstrate this and share it with you. So the next one, what we're going to do is create a background, and you are going to see several backgrounds for these next few. I'm going to keep this one simple with 3 colors, but we are just going to start scribbling. I think scribbling is kind of fun. I don't know about you. I know this may seem a little messy for some of you. Maybe a little outside of your box, but I, for one, I really like the look of this. I've made several of these in the past. Now, you may notice as I'm coloring, I'm trying to color heavier where I just want it to be that color, and then as I blend into the next color, I try to lighten up a little bit so I'm not coloring quite as heavy. Now, where you want these to blend together, you're going to need to choose whichever marker seems like the lighter one to you and go over that some more. And then try to, again, lighten up as I get into this color down here. Now, I feel like the green and the blue blended pretty well. I'm just going to leave that one. And I will tell you, the colors on this one are light Shy Shamrock, dark Highland Heather, and let's see, my blue is light Azure Afternoon. Isn't that pretty? I love these colors. So this is how I created a couple of these backgrounds, or at least how I started. So let's look at the one where I created a background like this. Now I used the same colors on this one with the addition of several more. So on this one I also used light Melon Mambo, light Pumpkin Pie, and dark Daffodil Delight. But I just love how, I love the look of these backgrounds. They're easy to create. They're really pretty, bright and bold, depending on what colors you choose. But just stamp the greeting, use that cute little heart die to create that. And the animal, the badgers here and the animals on my next card, I kept them really simple. Since I wanted to do my coloring in the background, I kept these very simple. I stamped basic gray ink onto smoky slate cardstock, and then to add the little bit of coloring to their faces, I just used my watercolor pencils to add a little bit of white and a little bit of black. So that was very simple. Now for this next one. Okay, so I told you we would come back to this card. I'll leave this one sitting over here. Can you see the speckling on that background? So for the background of this one, I used the Daffodil Delight and the pumpkin markers. And after it was dry, I dipped my fingers into some rubbing alcohol. You can put some into just like a little cup or something. Dip your fingers in and flick that rubbing alcohol onto the background. Now, I used the 70%. They sell, I believe it's 91%, but I didn't have any here. If you use that, I believe your speckles will be a little bit more noticeable. It will be a little bit stronger. But really, really fun backgrounds here with these. last but not least, I thought we needed to create some artwork. Okay, we are capable of creating like things from scratch, and I mean you create things from scratch all the time, so you know that. But as far as like, hey, I want to make these walruses look like they're sitting on the edge of some ice, but by the sea, right? So here's what I decided to do, and you do not have to be a talented artist to do things like this. This actually has inspired me. I think it would be really fun. My list of video ideas is like longer than from here to China, I think. But I think it would be fun to do a video just on how to make fun backgrounds like this with your markers. So here's what I did. I colored the whole thing in this light boho blue. I came back and I added squiggles with dark boho blue. And as you can see, I am not being very precise. I do suggest when you make these backgrounds to start with a piece of cardstock that is larger than what you want your finished result to be, because I don't like to color off the edge of my cardstock very well. It can damage the tips of the markers. So if you start with bigger piece, you can trim it down so that you don't see the areas that you didn't color. So on this one, I was going to show you. So for this one, I started with a larger piece like this, and then once I got done, I just cut off the edges so you don't see that. Although I do like the white at the edges, but if you don't want the white, then you want to start with a larger piece. So after I got my squiggles on there, I went back, I colored over the whole thing with that light boho blue, and ideally I would do this all at the same time. I may end up with a little mark here because this is dry and this is not, but we'll see. We can see how this dries. Now that we have that done, let's finish this card. Put some adhesive on here. Attach this to the card base. And bring in our walruses. So I did these the same way as I did the badgers on the last one. I just added a little bit of white to the tusks and a little bit of dark on their noses. And here's one more little stamp that came in this stamp set. I decided I really needed to utilize these cute little hearts. Couldn't make all these cards without using them. So I'm going to stamp once and twice without re-inking, and then let's do the same thing over here. Once and twice, so we have some cute little hearts over their heads. And get this attached. Isn't that cute? It looks like they're there on the edge of the ice. So I may have to do some more of these. This was really fun for me. I said I would come back to this one. So if you're looking at this and thinking, you know, your heart looks terrible, then don't go for this technique. That's fine. But what I wanted to show you was you can use these markers and make a background out of anything. I thought, okay, let's do a big heart because the little mousey is holding a heart. And is it perfect? It is not perfect. But if you looked at this card and thought, oh, that's cute, I like that, keep in mind when you try this yourself, it does not have to be perfect. Imperfect can be really neat too. So I drew the heart, I colored it in, and then I came back in with some lighter shades of pink, and I just scribbled along the edges. So I did, I think this was a flirty flamingo color, this was melon mambo. I moved out, I believe, to the lighter flirty flamingo, and then a petal pink on the edge. So let's bring these back in here for a second so you can see all four of them together. but just some really cute and fun cards made with this hearts and hugs stamp set. So like I said, we have lots of new products available today, and I'll have links to the products I used today in the video description below, but you can use any of those links to go and take a look at the other things that are new as well. So, okay friends, let's chat. So it's time to chat. And I feel like today's topic is a little heavy. So if we are strictly on a card making fun hobby relationship, you turn me off right now. Go watch something else. And if not, stick around. I've heard from so many of you who are enjoying our chats together, so I am glad that they are helping some of you. So today's chat is, like I said, I feel like it's a little heavy, but stick with me because, stick with me. So, I don't know how this is going to go. Did you see my video about spiritual warfare a while back? When I made that video, the spiritual warfare was intense for several weeks. In me, in my mind, in my family, in my marriage, and all the things that affect me. And I feel like this is happening right now with this video I'm getting ready to make. So bear with me. But what I want to talk about is basically that we need to be aware of the evil that has crept into, like, I don't know, everything in this world, like almost everything in this world. I don't know. Growing up as a young kid, I just had all these dreams, and I had my vision of what the world was, and I had my vision of what like different institutions were, like I got my education, and then I could make a good living because I had my good education, and then I could earn good money. I had savings in my bank account, and I had confidence and trust in that because I have savings and, you know, can pay my bills and all these things. You know, if I'm sick, I go to the doctor, they take care of me. There's all these things. And here in the last several years, I've mentioned this several times, but I've just had a lot of realizations. I have started doing a lot more digging, trying to figure out like what's the truth here, what's going on. I'm not sure I believe this. I want to try and do some digging and figure out what I actually believe on some different things. And as I did that, honestly, I started to lose faith in a lot of the things I had trusted in before that. Actually, I completely lost faith in a lot of the things that I had trusted in before that, which is a good thing for me. This is where, as I've mentioned, I really came to fall back on my faith and understand that I can't trust in my bank account or my education or people in my life. We all fail people in our lives, and they fail us. I had talked a while back about where does your hope lie? If your money and your family and all the things that matter to you, if that all went away tomorrow, like, where would you be? Would you have anything left? Or would you have your faith to stand on? At this point, that's where I would be, because I went through all these realizations and realized, like, you know what? I can't count on that stuff. I can't trust our government. Schools, like they're doing their best, and the people who work in schools for the most part are doing their best, but schools are doing some really not okay things in some cases. I had some big realizations related to our medical system. I have some strong disagreements with a lot of what is going on in our medical system, and I kind of came to terms with that. And I just realized that evil, there's some words that are not really very, very highly looked upon, not really used in our world anymore, like evil and sin, but they are real, and we need to be aware of that. So I realized how evil had infiltrated like everything, like all these things I never would have thought before that evil has infiltrated. One of the other things along with my wellness journey that I talk about a lot. Evil lives in our grocery stores, my friend. It lives on the shelves where you purchase your food. And you can think I am completely crazy, and that's okay. That's okay. You can tell me in the comments if you want. It won't hurt my feelings. I'll be okay. But as I've tried to figure out how to get healthy, and I've just had a big realization about how out of whack our food system is. We should be shopping. My mom told me this as a kid. Here we go. I'm going to repeat my mother's good advice because it is good advice. You should be shopping around the edge of the grocery store because that's where the real food is. That's where the fruits and the vegetables and the meats and the dairy products are, right? Did I miss anything important? I don't know. Where are the nuts? Where do they put the nuts? Are they around the edge? I don't know. Nuts are good for us too. But anyway, the real food, the food that we look at and we can identify where it came from. So many of these things in our food system they're causing our diseases. They're causing our mental health problems, our depression, all kinds of things. And so yeah, are we aware of where evil has shown up looking like a pretty box of cereal or looking like a pill that's going to take away my headaches, but what else is it going to do to me? These things right here have brought all kinds of things into our homes that probably don't need to be in our homes. Okay, the TV was the original. Okay, I always heard of people who didn't have a TV growing up. We had a TV growing up. We only had like 6 channels because we had rabbit ears. And some of you are listening to me right now like, I don't even know what that is. You're so much younger than me, and that's fantastic. But we had like, whatever, 6 channels. And so we had a lot less things to watch that may have been inappropriate than people who had cable, cable before streaming was a thing. But anyway, TVs have brought things into our life. Like, you think about the things that have become normal in a lot of our lives. Watching inappropriate TV shows, I believe, has become very normal. And it could be listening to inappropriate music. It could be all the time. Oh, you like my little sticker? Someone in the house gave me this little sticker. All the time we spend on our phones, all of our attention that we put into these other things that maybe should be going into our marriages and our families. I had to pause for a second because my thought left my head, but it came back to me. This is one of my realizations, okay? We think that we have all these goals and ambitions and we need to help out and do all these things in the community and at church and with the PTO and all these things. And like, I'm going to be real honest right now. Y'all, I think that is straight from the devil. I do. I had this realization probably about a year and a half ago when I was crying out to the Lord, trying to ask him. I was just like, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? It was not a good day. It was not pretty, friends. And what do you want from me? And I felt like the answer was, I think I've said this before, but stop what you are doing. So I didn't exactly know what that meant at the time. I continued to ask for some further guidance on that. But that was what led to me taking a break from making videos for about 6 months, as well as giving up a lot of my community involvements. Because really, if we can't take care of, if we're not taking care of ourselves, our minds, and our bodies, and our marriages if we're married, and our children if they still rely on us, if we're not taking care of those things, what in the world do we think we are accomplishing by helping with fundraisers and all the other things we put our time into? Striving to achieve goals. When like, does that matter if our families fall apart? It doesn't matter. So I hope this chat has not been too depressing for you, but I think we just really need to stop and look at the world around us. Stop and look at the things going on in our homes, the things we allow into our homes, the things we put in our bodies, who we trust for things like medical guidance. We just need to stop and evaluate those things. If we put all of our trust into the grocery store to provide me with good food, I just walk in the door and I think it's all good for me, like, or I put all of my trust in, if we put all of our trust into other people and other things, we are failing ourselves. We need to use our brains. We can pray for discernment on what is right and what is not right, what is good, what is evil, what we need to purge from our lives. So that's what I've got for today, friends. I think I made it through. I'm sure I forgot to say some things I might have liked to say, but I think when we can be aware of those evil attacks on our lives that look like pretty things and look like totally fine things, that you know, they don't look bad, they don't look harmful, but when we can be aware of that, we can get ourselves to a better place mentally, physically, and spiritually, I believe. So thanks so much for being here today, friends. I hope you will be back again next time when I'll be here helping you to hand make with love.